Alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you very much, sister, for your beautiful and elegant speech about Ali al-Akbar alayhi salam. I would like to ask the brothers to move forward when I mention the holy name of the Imam, not now. Once I mention the holy name of the Imam, please everybody, everyone, even the ladies, stand up and get closer forward, especially on this side. You know, on my left side there is a big room, inshallah, to be filled, so more people will be allowed to enter and have a space. Rahimallah man dhakara al-qa'ima min ali Muhammad. Closer, brothers, more. This side, Habibi, this side. This side, may Allah bless you all. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة ويا عبرة كل مؤمن ومؤمنة يا ليتنا كنا معكم سيدي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون صدق الله العلي العظيم. Islam as a system of belief and a practice has three main parts. The first part is the system of belief, the 5 tenets of Islam, which are facts, and it's related to ideology that we believe in and proudly defend and uphold, that are called Usul al-Din. The other part is the article of faith, the practices, the rituals that we perform, the rites that we bring, such as prayers, fastings, and other things, lamentations for our infallibles, going to Hajj, Ziyarah, Umrah. These are all considered to be practices of Islam, articles of faith. عن زرارة عن الإمام الباقر عليه السلام, who has said بني الإسلام على 5 أشياء على الصلاة والزكاة والحج والصوم والولاية. There are 5 main article of faith according to the narrations of from Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam. And that is prayers, fasting, Hajj, Zakat, and eventually Wilayah, which is belief in the 12 apostles or the infallibles after the Prophet as our great Imams. This also constitutes the second part of the Islam, of our religion. Now, according to majorities, that these two consist the religiosity of our religion. If you ask anyone, describe to me if this person, such person, X and Y, if they are religious or not, if they tell you religious, how they describe him or her? They say he performs the prayers, he observes fasting, he goes to Hajj, he participates in the lamentations of Imam Hussein, shed some tears, and beat his chest. These are considered to be the religious features of anyone. Or if they declare that he's not religious, based on what? He's not performing prayers, or he's not observing fasting. He's not committing himself to the article of faith. Some of us take pains and go into details in being committed and devout to these articles of faith. For example, when we perform our prayers, we make sure that we do it on the best way possible. When we do ablution and wudu, we make sure that all the water gets to all our, parts that should get water. When we articulate the prayers, we make sure that the articulation comes to be right. Some of us, for example, a few times repeat غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ in order to make the articulation and the pronunciation correct, because that symbolizes religion. Other than that, God would not accept our prayers. This is how religion has perceived in the public eyes. The emphasis mostly on ideology, article of faith, practices, and of course the traditions of the Shia school of thought, such as these majalis. Mostly, these are considered to be the main part of religion. Now, there is a third part which is largely overlooked, that not many people pay attention to, and is considered to be one of the main pillars of Islam, is our moral values and our code of conduct, our ethical codes of conduct. These are, unfortunately, by far have been missed, have been overlooked, or have been completely, gone from our screen. We do not pay attention to them as much as we pay attention to those two main pillars. Number one is the ideology, second one is the practice. But when it comes to upholding moral values, which is dealing with people, upholding their rights, acknowledging them and acknowledging their rights, we less emphasize on that fact. The holy verse that I recited to you, or the holy surah, Surah Al-Ma'un, tell us otherwise. Tell us something that has changed our perception about. And that is, inshallah, after your big and loud salawat we'll allude to. Sallu ala Muhammadin. Quran draw our attention to something that we have not paid our attention to, and most of the time we are oblivious about. And that is in Surah Al-Ma'un. It says, أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ. Have you noticed, have you seen the one who rejects the religion? Who's that person? فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ. The person who repulses, who push away the orphan. Not only that, وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. He does not pay attention and does not care for sustenance of the poor. So when you think about it, it's all about relationship. My relation toward others, others' relation toward me. God did not say the one who rejects religion, the one who does not perform prayers. does not someone who negates fasting. Rather, he goes to the third element and say, do you want to see someone who is not religious and in fact against religion? Look at that person who repulses and harms the orphan and does not care well about the poor, does not have the sense of social responsibility. Then it says, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. Wail is the most inferior place in Jahannam. When someone needs to be punished severely by the Almighty, وَالْعَيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us all from Jahannam, He puts him in wail. The Almighty promises that those who perform prayers will end up going into wail. The most inferior, the lowest point in Jahannam will be reserved for those فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ, who perform prayers, but who are عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ, who have forgotten about the spirit of their prayers. Our prayers have a spirit. Our prayer has a soul. It is not only a form that we perform mechanical movement and kill some calories, spend some calories. It is rather a spiritual connection with Allah. Someone who performs the prayers but loses the importance of the prayer, loses the sight on the importance of prayer, God would punish him. Who are those? الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ. Number one, they show off. Their work is not toward Allah. They don't have sincerity. Only their work is for the people. They care less to have their intention sincere to God. And second, وَلَا الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ. What is ma'un? Ma'un is that little small assistance that we give to the poor. The tip. When you go to the restaurant, how much you give a tip? $3, $4, $10 maximum. So this tip is called ma'un. When you see a needy, someone, a beggar, someone who asks, how much do we give him? By maximum, we give him $1. We always look for change, 1 cent, nickels and dimes and quarters, and give it to the poor. This is called ma'un. Now, there are people who also prevent this, who tell you, do not do this. These people don't need it. You need it the most. You should go and find a job. You should work. You should not beg. Those people who are completely oblivious about social responsibility and being interconnected with people, helping people and upholding their rights, the Almighty says that Jahannam is reserved for them. That is how important is the third element. You see, there are 3 dimensions. The 2 dimensions were the ideology, the practice of faith, and second and third one is upholding those in the form of moral values, our code of conduct, our ethical conduct, how ethical we are when we present ourselves and deal with others. You see, the ideology by itself does not have a meaning. If I believe in the oneness and the greatness of God, so what? If it's not reflected on my deed. So what if I believe that the Prophet is the last messenger? And after him there are 12 infallibles, great personalities who came to save the world. But I am as filthy as any other person. What good does that do to me? The ideology is mere abstract that does not find any meaning, any importance unless they are reflected on our deeds. When the influence of God becomes on me such eminent that I think of him and see him in any action I do, then my ideology finds its place and finds its importance. But just thinking of Allah and I commit mistake and sins and I care less about others, it's a mere abstract. Simple words that we have gotten by habits, but in reality they are only empty concept. Should we make another move, to make more room for others? Okay, again, I will recite, mention the holy name of the Imam. Please, everybody stand up and come forward. رحم الله من ذكر القائم من آل محمد صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Closer, brothers. More. Please. Get it closer. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. So the true religion is the one that has all the dimensions, all the three dimensions. A fake religion is the one that only considers the ideology and the practices, only two-dimensional, while ignoring the third one. When you ask the Prophet, you tell him, "Oh, the Prophet, the great messenger of Allah, for what purpose you came? For what purpose you gave your message?" He says this, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. I was sent as rahmah, as a blessing to entire universe, not to introduce to them a new rituals, a new practices, and tell them do this and don't do that. In fact, I came here to complement the values, the moral values of a humanity. إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. This is when an ideology gains its value. Again, the same thing goes with the practices. The rituals that we perform, they are intended to be reflected on our own deed, to see the results on our deed, just by practicing. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Just by practicing those in a mechanical, routine way is again, defeating the purpose. A religious practice finds its significance when it shows its influence on my deed. The prayers, for example. Why God has mandated the prayer? It says, أقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر. Because it prevents you from vice and indecency. But if we keep ourselves in vice and indecency, what did we do to ourselves? Nothing. Al-Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam says, مَنْ لَمْ تَنْهَهُ صَلَاتُهُ عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنْكَرِ لَمْ يَزْدَدْ مِنَ اللَّهِ إِلَّا بُعْدًا. Someone that his prayers does not prevent him from vice and indecency, in fact, has taken a longer distance from God. In order to be close to Allah, we perform prayers. But the Imam says, if you don't keep this in mind, that this prayer is not reflected on your behavior, in fact, you have taken farther distance from God. And the same thing goes with the fasting. The Almighty says the purpose of observing fasting, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامِ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. For what reason? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. So you have piety, you have fear of God, you have respect for others, you have respect for yourself and for your religion. Here it finds, here rituals find their meaning. Therefore you see the Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam has very elegant and a beautiful word. He said, لا تختروا بصلاتهم وصيامهم. If you see someone performing prayers over and over and observe fasting more and more, do not be enticed, do not be lured by this scene. لا تغتروا بصلاتهم ولا صيامهم فإن الرجل ربما لهج بالصلاة. It becomes a habit to him. He does it as a routine work, absent-minded, subconsciously. والصوم حتى لو تركه استوحش. If he stops doing prayers, he feels nervous. Not because of his, personal conviction of the prayers. Rather just because it became a habit to him. لا تغتروا بصلاتهم وصيامهم فإن الرجل ربما لهج بالصلاة والصوم حتى لو تركه استوحش ولكن اختبروهم في صدق الحديث وأداء الأمانة. if you want to see a true Muslim, a true believer, check his trustworthiness. How trustworthiness this person is. How trustworthy is this person? How truthful he is. When he deals with his brothers, when he deals with his customers, when he deals with others, what kind of dealing he does? Does he uphold their rights? Does he have moral values? At that time, you would consider him, a great man. Other than that, these are only mechanical works. We just kill calories by them, and they don't have much meaning. In fact, the Prophet, peace be upon him, he says that maybe one of you performs low number of prayers, low frequency of prayers and supplications. But in the eyes of God, he has a higher stature. For what reason? Because he has a good demeanor, that he observes the rights of others. Hear what he says. He says, إن العبد ليبلغ بخلقه عظيم درجات الآخرة وشرف المنازل وإنه لضعيف في العبادة. Maybe he doesn't perform prayers, the mustahabbat, of course, not the wajib. Only the wajib, not with ta'qibat. He doesn't have any mustahab, but in the eyes of God, he has attained the highest level of paradise. Why? Because he has a good demeanor. When he confronts others, he confronts them in the best way possible. When he deals with them, he deals with them in best way possible. So the third dimension, the morality and moral values, makes up for the two dimensions, especially for the practices. But is the otherwise is acceptable? Meaning someone performs the prayers but not good in upholding moral values. The Prophet says no. They are not sufficient. They told him there is a lady who used to perform so many prayers and so many fastings, but she was abhorrent, obnoxious, hurting her family, hurting her friends and her neighbors. The Prophet says, لا خير فيها إنها في النار. She belongs to Jahannam. So the second dimension is not sufficient for the third one. Rather, the third one is good for the second dimension. And again, he says, إن العبد ليبلغ من سوء خلقه أسفل درك الجحيم. Because being obnoxious, because he hurts others, and he does not uphold to the moral values, he will end up in the lowest point of Jahannam. This is one part. The second part, brothers and sisters, that upholding morality is not only good for the akhirah, it's also good for this dunya, for the success of this dunya. Why? Because people enjoy whom? The one who's disgruntled and always, uses a profane language and infringes upon others' rights, or they like someone who's pleasant, who talks well to them, who is hospitable to them, who has a great sense of social responsibility. Of course, the latter one. Today we live in a world that is called the global village, meaning that each country is dependent on other countries. We all, interdependent, interconnected, and we are reliant on each other. One area of a profit making is what? Is hospitality and tourism industry. You see those countries who are tourists by nature, meaning that so many people go and tour those countries. One area of their success, of course, they have beautiful sceneries, they have nice areas to stay, but one aspect of their success is because they are hospitable to the tourist. The tourism industry in the world each year is $2 trillion. There are countries who largely live on tourism industry. For example, Croatia, Malta, Lebanon. These are countries that, absorb more and more of tourism. Why? Because of their hospitality. Because of the good nature when it comes to civility and dealing with others and respecting strangers. You see, they are taking the first degree, the first grade. Therefore, more and more people will go to them. What would you do to go to a place, a heaven, but you get robbed in that place? or you get insulted, or somebody attacks you, would you go to that place? No. So there are so many beautiful places and wonderful areas, but they're not hospitable to the tourists. Therefore, many people don't end up going there. Unfortunately, when you look at our Islamic world, maybe exception 1 or 2, you see the majority of our countries are not that hospitable to others. We don't welcome others. Once they are there, either they get robbed or somehow they get ripped off and khalas, they end up leaving. While if you end up showing good attitude toward them, more and more of those will come. Here Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam says that someone who's hospitable to people and has a good manner to people, he will be successful for one reason, is that his conscience is satisfied. His internal soul is satisfied, that he has become a human being. Here, the Imam says, لا عيش أهنأ من حسن الخلق. There is nothing better and tastier and sweeter than having, a best and good mannerism, because that will be reflected on the person. Once it is reflected on the person and person has peace with himself, you see that he doesn't have a trouble dealing with others. When he deals good with others, more and more people will find affinity toward him. Here the Imam says, من حسن خلقه كثر محبوه وآنست النفوس به. More and more people, he become more popular, more admired by others. When others admire him, of course his business will become more and more successful. That will be reflected on his, pocket, on his dollar cents. Here the Imam again says, حُسْنُ الْأَخْلَاقِ تَدُرُّ الْأَرْزَاقِ. You see more and more risk, provisions and sustenance will get to you due to the fact that you are dealing well with people. On the other side, someone who has bad manner, cannot stand up people, you see that he first of all doesn't have a life that he's enjoying. Second, that will be reflected on his performance. سوء الخلق يوحش القريب وينفر البعيد. Repels people, push them away from self when he does not have a good manner with people. Now when we say good manner, brothers and sisters, it doesn't mean that we smile and say salam and shake hands. No, it should be reflected on our existence. We should be committed. This is a regimented, system. Meaning when I go to work, I go on time. When I deal with people on business, I don't cheat them. When I manufacture products, I make it the best product. Here the Prophet, peace be upon him, says, رحم الله امرئا عمل عملا فأتقنه. Has a proficiency in job. That is considered to be moral value. When you do a lousy job, that is against the moral value. When you are punctual, when they tell you, from this time to this time, and you commit yourself, when you're a contractor, and then tell you within 1 year you have to build this building and finish it, in that period you finish, this is considered to be good mannerism. I give you 2 tips how to improve, and inshallah we will finish as we have been asked to finish early, inshallah. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Unlike the first and second dimension, which is the practices, the third dimension is highly recommended to be a habit. When they tell you make something as a habit, change it to something that is routine. How does that happen? In our dealing, our actions are 2 kinds. One are the ones that we think about and concentrate. When we envision something and do it while we're thinking about it, a thoughtful action, a deliberate action. Meaning, I am going, for example, to the school to study. When I am sitting in front of the teacher, I am listening. This is a deliberate action, a thoughtful one. And another type of action is something like a routine work. I do it subconsciously because I have done it so many times, it has changed to become a habit to me. Without thinking, I do it. Needless to think about it. Needless to take my time to question myself what I am doing. I just do it anyway. And this stems from what? From repetition, frequency. The more I do of this work, the more it becomes a habitual. It is highly advised that our moral values changes to a habit. For example, you say salam. Make it such a way that at any time you see any person, you say salam. Even if he steps outside, after 2 minutes he comes back, tell him salamu alaikum. This is how the Prophet used to be. How is this done? It is when it becomes a habit. Now, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam has a beautiful word again. He says, عود نفسك الجميل فإنه يجمل عنك الأحدوث ويجزل لك الثواب. Make sure that your good work, your beautiful action becomes عادة. عادة meaning a habit. If you make it عادة, number one, people will talk about you. They will admire you. Second, you will earn the reward of God. So two things. Reward from people, admiration, and second, reward from God. This is how, when a good deed becomes a habit. Now the question, how a good deed becomes a habit? How do we make it a habitual, a routine work? You know, you see, brothers and sisters, anything that becomes a habit has to have two components. Number one is repetition. The more we do of that, it becomes a frequency and we get more and more acquainted and attached to. Second, we have to be inclined. Meaning, I have to have a joy when I do that. If I don't have a joy, it doesn't become a habit. Taking medication. Most medications, unlike narcotics, of course, most medications are not making people, addicted to. Why? Maybe the patient takes them for 3 months, 6 months. But once the doctor tells him stop, he stops. He doesn't have a habit. Why? Not because of the repetition, because he doesn't like them, because they taste bad. So when they taste bad, we're not inclined to take them. Therefore, they're missing the component of inclination, enjoyment of taking them. Or you do good things. For example, you help someone to go to college. You help someone to get married. You pay him, send him to Hajj. If you do it once, although you are elated and happy, it's not going to become, again, a habit. Why? Because once in lifetime, it's not going to be changed to a habit. It becomes a habit when you repeat it. You have an inclination, you love it, you see the sense of enjoyment, and you repeat that. Like cigarette smoking. The problem with cigarettes, people who become addicted to cigarettes, is because they enjoy it and they keep the frequency. When those two are combined, then people become habits. It becomes habitual. So the Imam alayhi salam says that when you do your good things, make sure that you do it as a habit. Repeat it more and more. The same way that you abide by the law. Once you get in the car, what do? You buckle up. Unnoticed, subconsciously, you buckle up. When you make a transition from one lane to another lane, you have to turn your signal without thinking. When you make again, you look into the mirror. These have become habits. Why? First, because of your safety, you are inclined to do that, and because of the repetition. So we should try ourselves that to do the good things by repeating them more and more of that. This is one tip. The other one, brothers and sisters, is being indifferent. Ignoring. But ignoring what? We live in a real world. In real world, you don't get always compliments. Not all the time people will tap on your shoulder and tell you did a good job. Sometimes they criticize you. Sometimes they do fault finding. They want to see your error. They want to see your mistake, and sometimes they insult you. they attack you. And that is common. Sometimes your friends, sometimes family members, sometimes the closest person to you, could criticize you and be critical of you. Many people are very sensitive to criticism. The minute they hear a criticism, khalas, that's the Armageddon. They have to respond. They have to retaliate. They have to send back their message. That causes trouble. First of all, psychological problem for self. You're always in agony. You're always in stress and tension because you want to, repudiate them, answer them, always in a fight between yourselves and eventually with others. The moral values tell you calm down. Sometimes you have to let it pass. Go from one side to another as if it did not happen. No, but it's not a big deal if someone who criticizes you and you calm down and you tolerate that and respect that. Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam says, إِنَّ الْعَاقِلْ نَصْفَهُ احْتِمَالٌ وَنَصْفَهُ تَغَافُلٌ. The aqil, the sane, half and half. One half of it is burden and responsibility. He has to stand up for what? For justice and rights. But the other half is indifference, ignoring others. You see, Quran teaches very well. In Surah Al-Furqan, he talks about some features of the believers. He says, وَإِذَا مَرُّوا بِاللَّغْوِ مَرُّوا كِرَامًا. Sometimes you pass by and you hear evil. This evil sometimes could go to you. But here it says, marru kirama, as if they did not hear it. As if nothing has happened. In another one, it says, وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. Many ignorants attack them, denigrate them, defame them. They tell you salam, forget it. As if nothing has happened. One day Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam is giving a sermon in front of his companions. Student sitting, companion sitting. A beautiful lady passes by. Some people start looking at her. The Imam reprimanded them, but in a very beautiful and elegant way. He said, إِنَّ أَبْصَارَ هَذِهِ الْفُحُولِ طَوَامِحِ. Men are prone to their vision. They're weak to their vision. إِذَا نَظَرَ أَحَدَكُمْ إِلَى امْرَأَةً تُعْجِبُهُ فَلْيُلَامِسْ أَهْلَهُ. Go back to your wives. This is the common sense. When you see, the opposite gender, elegant, beautiful, gorgeous, go back to your wives, to your spouses. فَلْيُلَامِسْ أَهْلَهُ فَإِنَّمَا هِيَ إِمْرَأَةٌ كَإِمْرَأَتِهِ. Women are the same. When Ali ibn Abi Talib said this, one of the Khawarij was sitting there. He says, قَاتَلَهُ اللَّهُ كَافِرًا مَا أَفْقَهَ. Look at the meanness of this man. In front of the Imam, in front of people, he calls the Imam, what a kafir. You are such a kafir, but very faqih, very elegant. Some of the companions stood up to cut up his throat, to kill him. The Imam ignored him totally. But when he saw people came to hit him or to punish him, he told them, wait, what are you doing? إِنَّمَا هُوَ سَبٌّ بِسَبٍّ أَوْ عَفْوٌ عَنْ ذَنْبٍ. Yani the worst thing we should do, he denigrated me. He used the foul language. The worst, I should use a foul language. Or I forgive him. This is how, the Imam forgave him. His student Malik al-Ashtar, one day he's walking toward in the market, somebody grabbed the trash and threw on Malik al-Ashtar, thinking that he's nobody and that would bring laughter and people will crack up when they see he's denigrating someone. When Malik left, his neighbors told him, do you know this person? This person is the commander-in-chief of the army of Ali ibn Abi Talib. What did you do? Go back and apologize. This man was terrified. He chased Malik. Malik, without even noticing him, went to the masjid. So when he kept asking about Malik, they told him he went to the masjid. He went to masjid and noticed that Malik is praying. When he finished his prayers, he came and told him, my apologies, my master. I didn't recognize you. I thought you are an ordinary person. If I knew that you were Malik al-Ashtar, I haven't done this. He told him, Ya hada, I came to the masjid to perform a prayer. I had another duty, but I did that for you. I came to pray for you. Forget it, as if nothing has happened. The man came to Al-Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, denigrating him, using foul language. The Imam turns his face on the right side. He goes to the right and again denigrate the Imam. On the left, denigrate the Imam. The Imam makes his face toward right, until he tells the Imam, Iyaka a'ni, I am with you, I am talking to you. The Imam tells him, Wa'anka a'fu, I forgive you. You know, these things that reduces tension in the community. Two things. Number one is making our behavior, our moral values as a habit. And second, when we forgive and as if we have not taken any notice. These are the two main values. When you look at the life of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, you see that his mom, al-Baneen, has taught him a habit. And that habit, whenever he sees one of his brothers, Hassan and Hussein alayhim salam, he would not call them by names, nor he would call them brothers. Always he used to call them Yabna Rasulillah, mentioning the holy name of their grandfather. He would tell them, you are my master. You are Sayyid Shababi Ahl al-Jannah. You are the son of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. Although he was their brothers. Historians say only once Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, he mentioned the name of his brother Hussein by calling him Ya Akhi. When was that? That was in the Battle of Karbala. When he fell from his horse, when he got to the ground, at that time he declared, Ya Akhi, adrik akhak. Oh Hussein, I was your sacrificial. I have sacrificed my entire existence, but today you are my brother. Come to me. That was the only time Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas called upon his brother. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, his birth was meant to be sacrificial for Hussein. You see, Hussein was born on 3rd of Sha'ban. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas was born on 4th of Sha'ban. He was a shadow to his brother. Always was with his brother. And with his sister, Zainab. Zainab, from the time that she saw Abbas, she went and asked for permission to raise Abbas. Abbas was raised on the arm of Zainab, not al-Baneen. al-Baneen gave Abbas to Zainab to raise. She always felt affinity and love toward this little baby. She would go and tell her father, Ya Abba, the more I spend time with Abbas, the more affinity, attachment. I cannot leave him. You know, not even for a few minutes or a few hours, he goes to the lap of his mother. I'm always attached to this boy. He tells her, Zainab, do you know why? Because he's your protector. Because he's your guardian. He's the one who will protect you. Stay with him. You will be with him until the day of Karbala. On that day, you will be separated. She said, Dad, who will leave whom? Would I leave him or he will leave me? He told her, Zainab, you will leave him while he's laying on the river bank in Karbala, where he is decapitated on the day of Ashura. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas comes to Imam Hussein, where there is no one was left except him and Imam Hussein. He comes and asks for permission to fight. The Imam tells him, Yabna ummi, Yabna abi, ya akhi, anta sahibu liwa'i. You are my torch bearer, you are my flag bearer. If you leave, if something happens to you, my army is shattered. There is no one except Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. What does Hussein means? What does he mean by saying my army shatters? Meaning that Abu al-Fadl by himself was an entire army. Then he tells him, إِذَا كَانَ وَلَا بُدْ فَاذْهَبْ وَاطْلُبِ الْمَاءِ إِلَى هَذِي الْأَطْفَالِ. Go get water to them. You know, Imam Hussein prevents Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas to go directly to the battle. Why? Because if he has gone to the battle, the army would have not finished. He would have completed. The army of Ibn Ziyad would not have been successful. He asked him to go and draw water, bring water to the camp of Hussein. He goes and call upon them and tell them, get us some water. Sharm declares, يَبْنَ أَبِي تُرَابٍ لو كان وجه الأرض كله ماء وهو تحت أيدينا لما سقيناكم منه قطرة. If we had entire scene was flooded with water and that was under our control, we wouldn't give you a single drop of this water. We would deprive you from water. Until Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas charged toward the river bank. 4,000 soldiers were there defending. He removed them all until he got to the river. He filled the water skin and then took a scoop to drink. At that time he remembered the thirst of his brother and the camp and children. He throws the water and says, يا نفس من بعد الحسين هوني وبعده لا كنت أن تكوني هذا الحسين وارد المنون وتشربين بارد المعين هيهات ما هذا فعال ديني ولا فعال صادق اليقين. As he goes back as fast as he can toward the camp, an enemy cut out his hand. The right hand gets amputated. He grabs the water skin with his left hand. Again, another army member cuts off his left hand. At that time, his stand is still there. Doesn't know what to do. He has promised Sukaina to go to the camp, but now he's left alone. An arrow penetrates the water skin. The water all spills on the ground. He stays there. He cannot go to the camp, nor he has the hand to defend himself. All of a sudden, an army member hits him right on his head. He goes toward the ground and say, أخي أدرك أخاك السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. The narrator say that Imam Hussein comes to him, but he goes down first. Then before he gets to Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, he grabs two valuable things from the ground, kisses them. As they look, they see it is the amputated hands of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. He goes toward him. As he tries to pick him and brings him to camp, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas hold his hand, tell him, Hussein, my brother, what are you doing? He said, I am taking you to the camp. He said, no, don't leave me here as I am dying, because I have a promise, Sukaina. I wouldn't go back without water. I am ashamed of myself. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك وأناخت برحلك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته.